This is The Civil Fleet, the podcast focused on the activist-led refugee rescue and support missions across Fortress Europe, with me, Ben Coles. In today's episode, we are going to speak with Juan Matias Gil, a search and rescue representative with Doctors Without Borders, or MSF as the charity is also known. He is going to tell us how Italy made it impossible for the medical charity to continue to use the Geo Barents, which was their massive refugee rescue ship that saved thousands of lives in the central Mediterranean. He's going to tell us why and how the charity got a new ship, the much smaller Oyvon, as it's called. He's going to tell us what the name of the ship means. And he's going to tell us about their latest mission at the time of this recording, and how they saved over 60 people in the central Mediterranean. Before we get into today's episode, I'd like to remind you that The Civil Fleet is not just a podcast, it's also a news blog with news reports, investigative stories and interviews, so go check out civilfleet.com for more on that. Also, if you like what The Civil Fleet is doing and you would like to help us to continue to platform the amazing people that we have had on this podcast, then there's a couple of things you can do. You can share us around on social media. You can tell your friends about us, spread the word about the podcast. You can rate us on podcast apps, which would be really helpful. And the other thing you can do is, if you really like what we're doing and you want to help us to continue to platform these amazing people, you want to chuck us some money to do that, then you can go to ko-fi.com/civilfleet. That's ko-fi.com/civilfleet. You go there and you can make a small donation, a monthly donation, a one-off donation, whatever you like, and you'll also get access to a bonus episode we have on there. That's ko-fi.com/civilfleet. All right, it's enough from me. Let's get on with the show. All right, so Juan, shall we get started?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Juan, thank you very, very much for coming on the Civil Fleet podcast.
Thank you for inviting. It's a pleasure.
So, Juan, we're going to talk about Doctors Without Borders, or MSF, and their new ship called the Oyvon. We're going to talk about that today. So, before we do, could you tell us a bit about yourself, Juan? I'm guessing you're from Spain, but I'm not sure. And you can tell us a bit about yourself and how you ended up working on the Oyvon with MSF.
Well, it's a long journey. I'm not from Spain, I'm from Argentina, so a little bit farther away. And I started working for MSF, Doctors Without Borders, back in 2008. I worked several years in Middle East and several years in Sub-Saharan Africa. Until in 2015, I was proposed when we were coming with the first vessel at sea, the Central Med, the Dignity 1. I was proposed the job. At that time, all those years, I was doing the project coordinator that normally was running medical programs. So then this opportunity started. I was one of the first teams to come on board. So all this started 10 years ago, and we were quite naive at that time that we thought that it was going to be a piece of cake, that we were going to come, do our stuff, they announced, and instead we were going to take the responsibilities. And after 10 years, of course, this is far from reality. And since then, I've been working in SAR in and out, on and off, while doing other missions, going to other countries, back to Africa, Colombia, Middle East, and so on. So I'm not 100% dedicated to SAR, except for the last 4 years. Yes, I'm here.
Let me just tell, so you said SAR, for people listening, if they don't understand, that means the search and rescue zone, right? In the Mediterranean.
Yeah. Search and rescue, this is in general, no? This is in whatever sea or mountain where somebody is lost or somebody is facing any danger, there's teams ready to be deployed to bring people to safety. SAR, or Search and Rescue in the Central Med and in other zones of the world is very related to migration, no? Because of this lack of safe and legal channels for people to flee, to go from one place where they are in danger to another one, seeking for safety, opportunities, freedom, security, etc. we end up rescuing migrants. No, if we put migrants as a big category, that they are people on the move. This could be migrants because of whatever reason, personal reason, economical reason, so asylum seekers or refugees. They have the status of refugees and they still flee because they are not safe enough where they are. So we end up doing this job at sea that shouldn't be our responsibility. The states are obliged to do this kind of things. Of course, in this world, solidarity is not the main priority. There's many other components influencing this one: racism, political narratives, just disregarding, disrespecting the rights of everybody as equals. So we ended up, unfortunately, covering a gap that shouldn't exist.
Absolutely. And did you have a medical background before you worked for MSF?
No, actually not at all. I studied economics, very oriented to public policies. This is how we studied in Argentina. My first assignment was here, my entry door to this world, that it was totally by chance. When I was already working as economist in Argentina, was to run the finance of the missions here, but then immediately I realized that my nature was leading me to the project management, no? So doing first assessment, implementing, proposing interventions, implementing them, monitoring them, evaluating them, etc. So I started like this, and then out of the projects that we ran, I started dedicating most of my time to emergencies, acute emergencies, and armed conflicts, in very, very protracted conflict also, because now we are seeing about Palestine or Ukraine, etc. Of course, they are very important and they are there, but there are so many other active conflicts in the world that they are totally neglected and they don't have any visibility at all. So I was taking care of that one, in Syria and Iraq, in Yemen, etc. So I left the books and the graph into Axis at home back in Argentina, and I started doing something totally different.
Yeah, and then you ended up on the Geo Barents. Oh, you said the first ship. What was the Dignity 1?
Dignity 1 was the first MSF ship. Then there were other 2 MSF vessels at that time, so we were having 3. And then along the years, the Geo Barents was the vessel number 8. Also, I was at the very beginning of the Geo Barents startup that we built almost for 4 years. No, and of course, I think your question is coming to this one: why did we abandon this great vessel, very fit for purpose? And mostly it was because it was when we chartered the Geo Barents, it was a moment where the barriers to do search and rescue and to disembark survivors on land was very difficult. No? The so-called policy of closed ports. So we were having hundreds and hundreds of people. We had almost 700 people on board the Geo Barents, and we were finding very difficult to disembark. So we were not being assigned a port to disembark these people, and we had them, I think, almost for 2 weeks on board. Imagine these hundreds of people for 2 weeks. So we need a vessel really, really prepared. And it was working very well, but then the government in Italy changed the obstruction, so the barriers to do this activity increased. And after the very first rescue, they are sending us to port that if you see in an isolated way, it's okay, wow, they are doing good. Yeah, but we know very well that when there's a departure, when we see a boat, very likely there would be many others at sea. So, of course, they were taken out of the operation to leave the other ones back to the destiny of going back to Libya, intercepted by the Libyan Coast Guard. No, that, of course, is going back to the place from where they are escaping. So let's say we ended up going, as an example, with 17 people to La Spezia in the far north of the country, more than 1,500 kilometers to disembark 17 people. It was not really cost impactful. So we decided to adapt our operational strategy to have the same impact or bigger impact, but with lower cost and with means more adapted to the new obstructive, even more obstructive circumstances.
Yeah, so how many years was the Geo Barents operating?
Almost 4 years. And we rescue almost 13,000 people.
That's crazy. There's so many people. That's a lot. 13,000 people. Wow. And and it kind of, whilst you were operating, there were several phases. I think you spoke about, right? There was there was a time when Italy just stopped. No ships were coming in, and you had to wait outside for a long time. And then they have this new system, the new Italian government, which is pretty right-wing, and they have a new system where they'll let you rescue people, but you have to rescue one and then go straight to a port, right? And you go very, very far away. And I say this quite often in the podcast. In UK terms, in the UK, if you rescued someone in the Mediterranean and took them to the north of Italy, in UK terms, that's like rescuing people from the Isle of Wight and going all the way to the top of Scotland. It's really far. It's insane, right? It's crazy.
It makes no sense, especially when you know that people are dying at sea and would need your assistance, because then, of course, the countries have all the authority and the right to administrate the migration as they want. No, but let's say we put the best interest of the people in the core of the migration management. They could be disembarked right away, and you could move the people with other means. No, so they can arrive faster, and they can have the support that they need. We are speaking about people who flee from their countries. They cross so many borders, so many abuses. They cross most of in this route, especially the Sahara Desert. So of course they are not in a good condition physically and psychologically. So they need assistance going through violence, systematic violence in many countries. So you disembark them as soon as possible. You move them where you want. You give them the treatment that they deserve. So, of course, this is cruel for the people first. And then many times they tell me, no, this is against NGOs. But the NGOs are affected by that. This is against the people on the move. Because, we spend more money, we spend more days, etc. It's a pity because we are needed also at sea. But the main harm is done to the people on the move. This was not, as you were saying, in 10 years we went through many different phases, very creative phases to damage the migration in general. The very first year, 15, 16, part of the 17, we were part of a system where the Italian authorities, the Coast Guard of the Maritime Rescue Coordination Center was really using all the assets that they were having at sea to lead and to coordinate the rescue. So we were rescuing called by them. We were putting people together in some vessels going to port. Other one were staying there. So let's say it was a big effort to really minimize the death at sea. Since then, we started with the policy of closed ports. That, of course, is only a slogan because it's totally illegal. Then the visibility of our problem went down after a big campaign of criminalization, accusing us of being part of a system of traffic and smuggling. Obviously, nothing of this was proved. They started sending us to the criminal tribunals, accused precisely about this one. Collusion with the smuggling, far from reality. After 10 years or 8 years since the first case, nothing was proved, and all the cases were closed even before arriving to the trial. But the damage was done because the public opinion is listening, is reading this news, or they associate us with this one. But when the cases are closed, this is not a breaking news, so people don't go back in their ideas that they have in their head. So this happened also. At one point we started having very rigid and very exigent inspections on board that no vessel in the world has. No posted control, looking for the dust behind the carpet, stopping our vessel, asking for requirements that didn't exist in any formal rule, procedure, law, etc. And we were detained over there. And then until this, as we mentioned already, this government came and they started with this further obstruction and sending us far away with few people, and also in a very false rhetoric of migration, defamating us publicly, but nothing to be proved anywhere, and then they defamate us, but they don't open any investigation. So of course this is pure manipulation of the migration for political purposes, and nothing more than that.
And you mentioned the I forgot about that time period when they were focusing a lot on the regulations in the ship. I don't know, you probably know the Aita Mari rescue ship. I think it's from the Basque country. Sure. They told me once, I don't remember if this is a podcast or an interview, but they told me that one of the reasons that they failed the controls because they didn't have enough ketchup, or that ketchup was out of date. It was crazy.
Even other ones, they were punished because of having more life jackets that they would eventually need. I can have as many as I can, as I want. No, it won't harm. It won't harm. So ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, they were crazy. It's just crazy. So now we're in this new phase where they send the boats really far north in Italy. And I think there was a time when did the Geo Barents, like, it rescued a few people, like maybe on a few occasions you didn't rescue, because the Geo Barents was very big, right? It's a really big ship. How many people could it carry? Do you remember?
We were having planned for more than 1,000, but in reality, the maximum that we have, it was exactly 657 people.
Wow!
It was already quite packed.
What was that like? Like when you had 600 people up there?
It was crazy because on top of the number of the people, there were still the times that we didn't know when we were going to disembark, and we were negotiating with the authorities every single day, every day. We could spend weeks doing this, so you couldn't tell the people, okay, guys, just chill, sit down, rest, eat, and relax, and we are going to disembark in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So it was every day, we don't know. Of course, this is affecting the trust that they have on you, and of course, we were speaking about hundreds of people who were starting to fight among themselves for a little space, or because a blanket was not there, etc. So of course, in this post-traumatic situation, let's say, every small spark can create a fire, no? And of course, all this was on purpose, and we were suffering from this one, let's say, with the trust of our beneficiaries being affected. So it was nothing fun to have all this number of people. Of course, and it was very satisfactory from a human perspective, that you could rescue so many people fleeing from violence. Listen to the stories. They were very warm with us, very thankful. We have very, very nice experience with the people that we rescue. So emotionally is very intense. To manage is very difficult.
I imagine it would be difficult. And then, so like towards the end of the Geo Barents, you were rescuing like quite small numbers of people, right? And then having to sail really far away. Is that right? Is that what was happening?
Yeah. All in all, the last 2 years, we were under these new regulations. We sailed around 65,000 kilometers, meaning almost one turn and a half to the world.
Wow.
Distance, money, and time totally spoiled, useless, a punitive measure, and as we were saying, harming the people who still attempt the crossing, and many other people who died. So we say, okay, this is not sustainable anymore, and we started looking for a new vessel, smaller for the numbers that we were managing. Now our new vessel called Oyvon can rescue around 120 people, so they are very reasonable numbers for the current context. It's much faster, so we can do this transit to the port in less time, giving the opportunity to the people to disembark as soon as possible. And it's not possible because we don't have fuel enough to go to the north of the country. So the authorities are obliged to assign us a port in the south. So here is like unfortunately, because it's a very cruel comparison, it's like a chess game, no? So you make one move, and then the government does another one, and you do another one. So, of course, we are speaking about people. We are not speaking about a game. It's not a game for us, but we only need to find the way, the shortcut to bypass this discretionary, ridiculous, and cruel regulations that, in this case, the government of Italy is imposing. But, of course, this with the umbrella of the blessing of the European Union, with the Commission, who is the guardian of the treaties, which is not happening. No? So we see all the trend in Europe with the migration pact that is being implemented from next year on, with some trials already happening in 25. So this is the winds that they are blowing against humanity.
Mm. Yeah, it's pretty sad, isn't it? And so we should mention the Piantedosi Decree.
Yeah.
So Piantedosi is I think it's the surname of an Italian minister. I think he's the interior minister. I'm not sure, but anyway.
Yeah.
And he came up with this new decree, which is making you sail really far away. And you have to, I don't know, can you tell us a little, yeah, actually we didn't say which part of the ship do you work on? Like, what role are you, what's your role on the Geo Barents and the Oyvon?
I'm the overall responsible. Let's say we have a very pyramidal structure here. So I'm on one side, the responsible for operations, but also I hold on my shoulders the burden, the responsibility of all the external positioning, no? The advocacy actions that we push also to trigger changes, or the communication, how to communicate, and unfortunately also all the legal battles that we are doing. So more or less I touch with the core of our activity and with all the transversal ones. So I'm the final responsible for all of them. I don't do the things all by myself. No, I would need a day of 50 hours. We are a team, and I'm just making sure that all the pieces are putting together and the machine is working in the right way. So, but yes, indeed, also I take care of this, the context analysis and how things are changing. And we are speaking back in 2022, in August, the government, there was a technical government here in Italy, collapsed, and they called for elections. And this coalition of three right-wing parties got together with almost 50% of the votes altogether, 44 if I'm not wrong. They had an excellent opportunity for them to take office, which they did, even if it's not that they agree in everything, but of course, let's say with the majority in both chambers, they could do whatever. And they based their political campaign in a very anti-migration rhetoric. So when they took office the 25th of October 22, we are speaking, the first measure that they took against migration, we rescue us and other two search and rescue vessels at the beginning of November. And when we came to disembark, they did an attempt of selective disembarkation. So give me the medical cases, the children, the women, take the adults, men back to high seas. Of course, something that was completely illegal. We refused, we fought, and eventually everybody was disembarked after medical checks. So it was the first attempt and probably the first defeat in one battle of the government. they started organizing themselves a little bit better, and a few months later, they signed the first decree of 2023. So the decree number 123 is about migration, creating this Piantedosi Decree that then it was transformed into law less than 2 months later. And basically what we were speaking before, you do one rescue, you go to port, you need to speak with competent authorities, you need to go to the port without delays. And in this one, the perverse part is competent authorities means Libyan Coast Guard if we are doing rescues in the Libyan search and rescue region under the responsibility of the Libyan authority. We know very well Libya is a failed state. There's two governments in the country. There's a big fight for power among the very fragmented groups and militias that they are in the territory. So of course it's nothing but stable. And since 2017, the Italian government is paying to the Libyans to control this region and bring people back. No, something that is illegal. It's against the Refugee Convention and the principle of non-refoulement. This is happening de facto. So they started asking us to coordinate with the Libyans. If not, we were going to face detentions. And the detentions were going from 20 days to the confiscation of the vessels once you start repeating the alleged violation. No? And it started going very well for them because they started detaining our vessels. So effectively, de facto, the detentions were done and were respected by the vessels. But then we went into court, and slowly, with the speed of the tribunals, we are starting to win these battles in the tribunals. So at one point, it's clear, no, we can ratify that we were correct, that we were right in how we were doing things respecting the international law. But the damage is already done because we cannot recover the time that we were stopped at port. We cannot recover the cost that this implied. We cannot recover the cost of the life that were lost during those days. So, voila, it's a very cynical way of disrespecting human life. You know? And voila, I wouldn't be proud to have a decree on my name of this type, but many people unfortunately do.
Yeah, and it's really shameful, right? Imagine having your name against that, and then that's cost a lot of lives. It's like, yeah, like you said earlier, and I didn't think about it this way before, but yeah, lots of ships, lots of boats, they leave Libya or Tunisia together, right? It's usually a group of boats, often a group of boats. So if you pick up one and have to go straight back to land, then there's other boats that will sink and we don't know about them, right?
Absolutely. And when we rescue people, we ask them, okay, did you depart with somebody else? And in many occasions they tell us, yeah, with another one or with another two, and we know nothing about them. So once we are assigned a port and we tell the authority, we know that there were more boats. Okay, none of your business. You come to port, if not, we will stop you. So they put us in a very difficult situation to choose among the protection of life and risk or of our vessels. And it's not that we are attached to our vessels. It's that if we are detained, we are not able to go and rescue other people. So we are forced to decide: rescue people today or rescue people tomorrow. So we are put in this very uncomfortable and unfair situation to choose. It's not a simple one, and voila, people continue dying. So all these measures are not really tackling the main need, that is to avoid losing life at sea.
And then I think the Geo Barents, you stopped using the Geo Barents in December last year, I think, 2024. Yes. And then last month, so today it's December the 1st that we're speaking, and I think November the 17th, 18th, something like that, you started using the Oyvon. Is that right?
Yeah, this is right. We were at sea. I was on board, and we managed to rescue 2 different boats. And as I was saying before, no? Let's say with this type of boats, we cannot go very far. So we disembarked twice in Lampedusa. That is very good for the people with a very small transit and a limited time of the people on board, because the main thing is to disembark them in a place of safety where their life is no longer at risk and where their basic needs can be satisfied. So it was the purpose, avoiding the long trips that we were having before with the big vessel. And of course, it was a very successful one, and we expect this vessel to really perform in a very nice way. It was an old ambulance boat in the Norwegian coast. Actually, the name is the original name, and it means Oy Island and Bon Hope. So since it was the ambulance, it's the hope of the island.
Okay.
And we know for true that let's say in the past three people were born in this ambulance on the way to the hospital. Many others transfer them for medical needs. So we are very happy to give continuity to the purpose, the initial purpose and origin and work of these boats, and also to continue saving many others. No.
And I think a long time ago, I had 2 people from the Geo Barents on the podcast. I think it was 2021 or 22. Riccardo Gatti, I think his name is, and Kira, maybe, I don't remember her surname.
Yeah, Kira, it was midwife, yes.
Yes, we talked on that. We talked about a mission where you had children being born on the boat. So that happens a lot, right? I don't know a lot, but it does happen.
It could happen. Actually, it was the only newborn that we have on board, because the mother was not supposed to. I think she was in the 8th month. So, but because of the stressful situation, etc., okay, she broke waters, and we were ready there to do it. And Kira was the midwife on board, so it was a very emotional moment. And Riccardo is an old seafarer and doing this activity. He's still with us. So yeah, we keep this expertise of people who should be doing something else, and unfortunately we are still fighting this one.
Yeah. I say every episode, like, it's amazing that you're doing this. That people with your skills are saving people's lives, delivering babies in the Mediterranean. But you shouldn't be there, like you said, right? The states have all the money and all the power to do this, but they refuse to. So the Oyvon is better for the situation, right? It's smaller, it's faster. How many people can it carry?
120 people. So yeah, it's well fit. Also, we have a medical team on board. It's quite a comfortable situation. If being at sea in the States is something comfortable, yeah, it's very well prepared for the purpose.
And does it operate from Lampedusa, or are you on Sicily, or both?
We are based in Sicily. Then what we do is we monitor the weather, and when we have a good weather window, we go out, and then we are standby for alerts. So when we receive alerts or what's in distress, we rush to the place where they were reported, and if we cannot find them, we look them until we do, and then as soon as they come on board, of course, asking for the fastest embarkation. So it should be working well, given the unfortunate circumstances of having boats there. Let's say we expect to have the same impact that we were having with the Geo Barents, with many more trips to ports, and at a lower cost, a cost that is really proportionate to the operation that we are doing.
Mm. And then, do you know when you're next going out to sea? Like, do you have, or does it depend?
No, we are ready. All our team is there, standby. The last 3 weeks since we arrived, the weather has been very, very bad. Only today is a good weather for departures. So they are ready to respond. So as soon as the phone rings, they just get on the ambulance and they rush to the location.
And then you were on the first rescue. Can you tell us about the first rescue? Like, who did you find and what was it like?
Yeah, the first rescue was quite. The people were in a very bad shape. They have been for 3 days at sea. They were mostly coming from Sudan. Some of them they departed Sudan recently after the ongoing conflict is happening. They were coming from Al-Fashir that we heard in the last week. So many thousand people killed, in a very catastrophic humanitarian situation. Some of them managed to flee, to escape before, and they were coming there. And of course, they were telling us stories of the full families killed over there. So of course, it was a very difficult for them. And after being 3 days at sea, they were in a very, very bad shape. And so we managed, and then it was a rubber boat. We disembarked, and later on we went back at sea and we rescued 17 people, also mostly from Eritrea. Also we know very well. Well, we know the Eritrea situation is very bad for young people. They are mostly fleeing, and they are subject to life military service, so people don't want to die in active conflicts that they have in the zone. It's a very cruel dictatorship. So normally when we see them, they are very young. Most of them were unaccompanied minors, also very, very, very bad shape, malnourished, also going through violence in Libya. So of course they were totally relieved to be rescued. And in both cases, many people attempting for several times to do this crossing. Even one told me 8 or 9 times.
Wow.
He did this crossing. And this is the other paradox that we are having here. The European governments, in this case the Italians one, are speaking out about that they are fighting against the traffic and smuggling. But with all these measures that they are taking, they are mostly increasing the suffering of the people, because before 10 years ago, the people were in transit. Of course, they were not treated well, and it was a fast journey. And now people are stuck. They are stuck in Libya, in Tunisia. So they do this attempt many times. So it means that one person, one payer, one client is facing the journey, the price of the ticket for many times, 5, 6, 8 times. So the traffickers and smugglers are becoming rich. Let's say they multiply exponentially their profit. So this is absolutely the contrary what the Italian government is professing. That they are fighting against it. No, they are just making them rich with the measures that they are taking against the suffering of the people on the move.
Yeah, and I think that this reports that the EU knows that, or the European Union suspects that the Libyan government is involved in it, right? And so, like, the smugglers make money. They send people out to sea. The Libyan Coast Guard captures them, puts them back in slavery, like conditions, and it's just a continuous circle, right?
Absolutely, they are complicit with this one. There's no doubt. They are paying for us, they are visiting. It's not us telling this. Okay, we are telling this also on behalf or by the people that we rescue, the testimonies that we collect by all the organizations working in Libya. The fact-finding mission of the United Nations reported this, speaking about the collusion among them and among the Libyan Coast Guard and the director of migration in the country with the business of trafficking. So it's not us, if not many other sources on top of all the journalists who cover this area. So there's nothing hidden. There's not a rumor. It's a matter of fact.
And one of the ridiculous things I've seen people say on social media is like they accuse the rescuers of getting rich from this. It's like, how do they think you're making money? I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, but it's defamation. It's defamation. But as I was telling you before, if a minister speaks publicly stating something like that, and then I go afterwards and I speak who the people know, who the people trust, etc. So it's a fight, David against Goliath. Who's having a communication machine and who doesn't. So of course our sensitization is slowly, without slogan, doing this type of informative session. Because it's not about opinions, it's about matter of facts, what is happening there. And then people can take their own conclusions. But if you go with a slogan very strong like this, unfounded, not many people really double check the veracity of information. So.
Yeah, that's really sad. And so I think I want to ask my last couple of questions. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about, the Geo Barents or the OVI or the Oyvon or anything else about that?
No, what I would like not to speak anymore, not to be called anymore, in the sense if this happens, it will mean that the situation is over, because they say we found more human ways of approaching migration. Migration is not a problem, it's not a threat, it's not a security threat, and they are trying to sell us. No, it's an opportunity. It's a humanity free from the beginning of times. So, and this made our cultures richer. So people moving can contribute to the societies in so many different ways, economically, politically, socially, culturally, etc. So if we see this, we will integrate the people instead of discriminate them and living them in the illegality or continuing to profit politically from this movement. So honestly, I would like, if we speak about 10 years from now, to speak about what we were doing in a very anecdotic way, because human solutions were found. No, I don't think this is a humanitarian crisis, if not a crisis of humanity.
Mm. Yeah, it's a political crisis, is what I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you? I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, but how do you feel about the future? I always ask people at the end of the podcast how they feel about the future. So, for people on the move and, for policies and this kind of thing.
Policy-wise, it's looking very bad. We mentioned before the migration pact that is suspending rights that the people used to have, and also if we think about it, all the human rights and the refugee rights were born and created a little bit by Western countries. No, the conventions were drafted, ratified, signed, etc. by this country. So they were promoting this, and now the omelette turn around, and these governments, according to them, are suffering from this flow, are suspending them. So it's something very, very cynical. I think we need to continue fighting to make our rights respected. Our rights, I mean, of all of us, regardless the religion, the nationality, the skin color, or whatever. We all need to respect this and for all. It's not discriminatory who has and who doesn't. So this is one way. And the other one, for sure, continuing our activity, not neglecting the situation, because pretending that situations don't exist is not finding solutions. So I can turn around, people will continue dying. So I won't see them, but this will happen. So we need to face the situation, going to for solutions. I think as civil society we are obliged to make our governments and authorities accountable of what they should be doing and what we vote them for, no? And so, of course, we are not voting this kind of people who are implementing these policies, but let's say we really need to show what is a consequence of the decision that they are taking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Juan, that was really great. Thanks for speaking to me. I hope you go back to sea soon, but I also hope you don't. You shouldn't be there, but I'm glad you are there. So thanks very much for your time, Juan. It was really great speaking to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Oyvon. Yeah. Have a nice day.
You too. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
All right, that was episode 84 of the Civil Fleet podcast. Thank you very, very much for listening. Thanks again to Juan for coming on the podcast and talking to us about MSF's recent missions. Thanks to Mohammed of MSF's communication team. Thanks for organising this interview. And also thanks to my friend Alex Walker for helping me sort out the levels and the audio stuff in this episode. You're a real legend, mate. Thanks for the help. All right. At the end of the podcast, I normally say a few things. I'm going to say go check out civilfleet.com, check out the news blog. There's some news reports on there, investigative stories, and some interviews also. It's not been very active recently, but I'll get back to that when I get time. Also, what else do we talk about? Yes, how you can help. You can help the Civil Fleet. You can help us to continue to platform these amazing people by doing a couple of things. You can share us around on social media. You can tell your friends about the episodes, tell people you know, send it to people, email people the episodes if you like, if they're old school. You can also give us ratings on podcast apps. It'd be really helpful. 5-star ratings is really, really helpful. And then you can, if you really, really like what we do and you want to help us to continue this grassroots podcast, you want to help us to continue this grassroots journalism, you want to help us to continue to pay for the things I need to pay for to keep this going, then you can chuck us some money by going to ko-fi.com/civilfleet. That's ko-fi.com/civilfleet. If you go there, then you can make a one-off donation or a monthly donation. It's up to you, and then you will also get access to a bonus episode that we have on there about my time in Bosnia with No Name Kitchen. Yes, and I think that's it. I think that is everything I need to say at the end of the podcast. So yes, we have another episode in the works, and we've got a couple more lined up interviews to do. So this month it looks like there's going to be quite a lot of episodes. So if all goes well, we should have maybe 3 or 4 episodes out this month. Anyway, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll see you next time. Cheers.